Why Not? A queer podcast.
Hi, everybody. I'm Rick Todd.
And I'm Jeremy Williams, and you're listening to Wine.
Why Not? A queer podcast.
Episode 78. Beautiful, beautiful.
Exciting 78.
I know. So much has happened since episode 77.
It's my lucky number.
Is it?
I'm just...
Oh, I don't know.
We'll bring this up later, but somebody...
26?
Yes. Like, whose lucky number is 26?
So random. Although I will say, half of 26 is 13, and that is Taylor Swift's lucky number. Coincidence? Probably.
I'm about to ask this question. Mm-hmm. How does one discover what their lucky number is?
I don't know. I guess they just get lucky every day that number falls, and then you just assume, hey.
So on the 26th of every month, this person has the best day of their lives.
Sure, yeah.
Right.
I mean, I don't know her personally, but she seems to have a grasp on the number 26.
Do we know any of them personally?
I almost thought I did. Almost thought I did.
We'll get to all that good stuff in a second. But how was your week? Anything fun?
It wasn't bad. Most of my week was tied up in work stuff. Even the fun stuff was all work stuff.
As is my life.
But I did get, it was a big political week, so tied in with that. I got to sit down with Stanley Campbell, who's running for Florida Senate, running to become the Democratic nominee for the Florida Senate, to run against Rick Scott. And a super nice guy, has a very Morgan Freeman way of talking. That man could have convinced me of anything while he was talking to me. He has a really good speaking voice.
Was he followed by penguins?
Yeah, a whole team of them. But no, it was a really, really good conversation. So there'll be more coming in Watermark about our chat. The upcoming issue is our preview of the primaries. So we've reached out to all of the individuals running for congressional seats here in our area, as well as the folks running for Senate. So Stanley's the one who wanted to sit down and talk. So had a really long talk, but a good talk.
Oh, that's good.
But it was a really good time.
It's
keep
nice
an eye
to
out
not
for
talk
that.
to you. Politicians don't usually like to talk. I'm just kidding.
They normally don't like to talk to us.
And it's usually boring. Like there's no exciting election news has come out in a long time.
No, I mean, this may be the dullest election cycle we've ever had. Yeah. Go Kamala.
Yeah.
Biden has dropped out. Well, he's stepped down to focus on the rest of his presidency and to spend time with his family.
I bet that's
what they always
slogan.
say when somebody's stepping down.
That's a slogan I think that the entire world can get behind. Because, half of the people would say, like, go, Kamala, go. And other people are like, go, Kamala. So it's exciting.
I see what you did there. Nice.
She's already unifying the country.
Good for her. I like Kamala.
Yeah, you know what? If we're going to talk about it for a second.
Sure.
I love Joe Biden. I just do. I think he's such a great human being. And
I agree.
And is greatly responsible.
Absolutely.
I think for a lot of the landmark changes for the LGBTQ community.
I agree. I will say, though, I am not disappointed he stepped aside.
No, not at all. I'm not at all. I mean, I was for a second, but then I started watching things about it, and they started showing pictures and things, and I was like, wow. I mean, when you get to the other side of it, you're not just like blind faith. No, I'm going to vote for this man. You're kind of like, all right, that was the right decision.
Yeah.
He made the right call. And I'm excited about where it's going to go.
And we talked about this earlier. I think that the years are going to be kind to Joe Biden, and he's going to turn into like this folklore kind of icon of somebody who sacrificed glory for the betterment of the country.
Yeah.
And I mean, let's not kid ourselves. When you're approaching 80, it's a little harder to do the things you did when you were in your 40s, 50s, 60s. early 70s.
I mean, look, and these people that were surrounding him had a tough job to do.
Yeah.
They had to sort of walk him there. It's kind of like trying to tell, someone that you're very close to and that you love that they can't drive anymore. And how awful that must be for them and for you, and this is like a little bit bigger of a scale. Like, hey, look, you're doing a great job, but maybe in a couple of months you stop.
Yeah,
I
will say that, and just as the internet does, it does not disappoint when it comes to memes. But there were some great memes and GIFs coming out of it. The nursing home worker walking the old lady meme had Joe Biden on it and said, "I was president of the United States." And the lady's like, "Oh, nice story, Grandpa. Now let's go get your meds." So there was some funny stuff coming out of it, which, when democracy is crumbling around you, sometimes you need a good joke. But no, I thought it was the right decision, and I'm excited to. I feel like this is going to spark the Democratic Party and get some unmotivated folks out there to be motivated.
I hope so. And I did, yesterday all this excitement was kind of like there was a blemish on it when it was like Joe Manchin, the independent, is going to run for president. And so
my least favorite of the Joes.
But he was on today on Morning Joe, and if he's a man of his word, then he said he's not. So
he said he's not a man of his word?
He said he's not running.
Oh, I was like, what a stupid thing to say on TV, Joe.
He said, I'm retired and I'm not interested in running for office ever again. He's like, his whole thing is just to like, oh, well, we need to make sure she's vetted, because.
Yeah. Like the vice president hasn't been vetted.
You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. I'm like, I think she has been, buddy. I think it's very clear what you're saying. But anyway.
Anyway, politics aside, we had...
I give her 3 grapes.
3? I give her 2 grapes and 4 coconuts. Are you familiar with the coconut thing? Okay.
Yeah, you told me about it yesterday.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah.
But tell everybody else, because they may not know.
It's a speech she gave, and she was talking about a story that her something her mom used to say, or her grandmother, somebody used to say it, about you didn't just fall out of a coconut tree, meaning there's context to everything that you say and that you do and that you are.
Like you didn't just fall off the turnip truck.
Yeah, so just that part of you didn't fall out of a coconut tree, followed by what I think will become the most famous and iconic laugh in American history, Kamala's laugh, has been put into so many songs on TikTok and on Instagram and turned into like this whole thing. They're calling themselves the Coconut Crew as people who's supporting Kamala. And I dig it. I like the flavor of coconut. I don't like the graininess of a coconut, but I do enjoy the flavor of a coconut.
I like most things coconut, but I do not enjoy coconut shrimp.
Really? I love coconut
shrimp.
It's
too sweet.
I love something sweet.
I don't want my shrimp to be crunchy.
I love a sweet, crunchy shrimp.
And this is why we have opposing views on everything we talk about. Except Kamala.
Go Kamala. And I love the coconuts.
And if her laugh irritates you and you think it's a cackle and you hate it, I hope she wins, and I hope it's the funniest presidency in the history.
They would say the same thing about Hillary and her laugh.
Oh,
it's something about they don't like the way women laugh, and you know who they are. Them. Those.
I think...
them.
I haven't laughed like really, really hard on this podcast, except for last week. I'm gonna tell that story, but sometimes when I laugh really, really, really hard, my laugh gets like, It's really weird.
I get a little too wheezy when I laugh real loud. I feel like I can't catch my breath.
And I had somebody tell me that I'm the only person they know that sounds like they're saying ha, 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 ha when they laugh. Makes me laugh. There's a friend I know who would laugh like this. I know you're listening, so I'm not going to say your name, so don't get mad. But he laughs like this. Yeah. True story.
I don't think he's listening, but I have a friend, you know him, who would laugh like SpongeBob, and it would crack us up because he's also gay. So he sounded like gay SpongeBob, which is SpongeBob.
What does this laugh sound like?
Like,
That's a little Peter Griffin-y.
Well, I have a Peter
Yeah.
Griffin-y sound to it, but he's more SpongeBob,
I got caught in this. I never watched
which is
YouTube.
ironic because his name is the same name as one of SpongeBob's closest friends. If you catch my drift.
I don't watch SpongeBob.
You don't watch SpongeBob?
I'm like, is he crabby?
You've had 25 years.
Well,
Gary, it's Gary.
Don't give anything away. Don't give anything away. No spoilers with SpongeBob. I'm gonna go back and watch it.
Okay.
How many seasons?
25.
Oh goodness, I better start now. What was I gonna say? Oh well. There was something I started to say. We'll watch it back. Email me if you've been listening. And when Jeremy interrupted that last story, I was going to say, what was it?
But other than that, we had our mid-year retreat with Watermark this past
sure
week.
did.
And we did some fun stuff.
So we have a retreat at the end of every year where we
Yes.
do planning for the next year. This time it was in January, so it was like in this year, but we were planning like, here's what we want to accomplish. So at the mid-year retreat, we try to get together, we try to do something fun, and then we just kind of check in and say like, hey, how we doing?
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah, so what? Who cares?
So we went and did an escape room. And then went from there to Dave & Buster's, which we'll go back and we'll talk about escape room and everything. But I want to bring up Dave & Buster's because Ryan, who's our managing editor here, accumulated a nice collection of tickets.
So Dave & Buster's, for those who don't know, it's sort of like an arcade of sorts. Like there's
it's like
carnival,
Chuck E. Cheese for adults.
Yeah, it's Chuck E. Cheese for adults, and you play games. You can play games where you get tickets, or you can just play video games, right?
Yeah.
And so we have a competition. And for a certain amount of time, whoever can collect the most amount of tickets wins, and then we all get together and go buy shit with our tickets.
Yeah.
And so
Ryan won, and he had a large lump of tickets. So he surprised me with this little gift here. And it comes with two pieces. First, I get a bell, a nice little pink bell that says "Ring for refills," which is lovely.
It'd be crazy if the door flew open and like
my God.
somebody walked in and was like,
And then he got me something to drink my wine in, which is a giant, nice wine tumbler that
Holy
says "It's
crap.
wine time."
that's the biggest glass of wine.
So that is what I will be drinking my wine out of, at least for today. We'll see how the rest of the podcast go. But it holds an entire
Carton of
whole
wine.
carton of wine, and it's still got room. Isn't that lovely? Don't want to waste it. Isn't that lovely?
It's
Look at
very
that.
nice of him to do that.
That
'Cause
was
I know you
super
were
nice of him.
eyeing it, and he was sort of.
Yes,
He also,
I did not have enough tickets.
but
to
he
get it.
also gave away his coveted Star Trek cards to get to the point where he had enough points to win and had all those points, and then he gave them all away. Look at that. He ain't so bad.
He's such a giver.
Now I feel bad for kicking him out of our documentary.
Oh,
Just kidding.
I hope he knows before he listens.
I better make that call as soon as we're done.
But it was a lot of fun. We did the same thing last year for our mid-year retreat, and we went to this fun place called Escapology, where they have themed escape rooms. Last year we did Scooby-Doo.
And last year we noticed, right, that they had just, or they were about to open, or they had just opened a Star Trek themed one. And Ryan and I are like big Star
Trekkies.
Trek fans.
Yeah.
I don't think I can go by. I wouldn't call myself a Trekkie. My luggage does not have Voyager or Enterprise on it, so I feel like I'm not quite Trekkie status, but I do enjoy a lot of the shows. So we decided this year that we definitely would go there and do this escape room.
Yes. And what an escape room. It was so dramatic. Came down to the last seconds.
It really did. It reminded me of Galaxy Quest at the end of it when they've got seconds before the whole thing blows up. And I'm not sure if we were terrible at it. It did take us 10 minutes to get out of the turbo lift, which I think probably was a little too much time.
For those who don't know, a turbo lift is like an elevator on a Star Trek ship.
Yes. I was going to call it an elevator, and then I was like, somebody is going to be listening and be like, dummy, it's a turbo lift. Like when I say to people at Epcot, when they're like, I like your umbrella, and I'm like, it's a parasol. Anyway. So
Nerd.
I do not do that like a gay nerd. So yeah, couldn't get out of it. Took a while to get in there. I'm not sure if we died and then they gave us 10 more minutes, or if it was like, hey, you've got to finish this part or it's going to blow up. And then we didn't finish that part. Yeah. And then it's like, well, okay, you live, but you have 10 minutes to get out of there.
I think it worked that way because there was the regular timer and then there was like a rapid timer that popped up when we finished one of the little games.
Right.
And then we had to beat that timer for that one game. I think we did it. I mean, we needed like 30 clues,
right.
But
when we got to the end and it was like, if somebody didn't have it right away, I just pressed that button for a clue.
Like the first half of it, because you got to get an hour to do this. We're like, we're going to work this out. No, don't hit that button yet. By the end of it, it's like, okay, we have 3 pieces. What are these pieces for? He just kept hitting the button, and then we're like, okay, so this piece goes here. Well, what do we do? It was just like by the end, he's like, we need to get this.
We had 5 minutes to go, and it was clear to me we had at least 3 puzzles to solve. And based on our turbolift experience, I was like, we're going to die in here. So I just kept pressing the button. And to which I asked later, I was like, do people normally need that many clues? And she just looked at me and went, no.
Yeah.
No, they don't. So it was fun. But, kudos to them because it was I think it was my favorite one that we've done.
Yeah.
And it was very complicated. But it was cool because when you'd figure something out, you felt smart.
Yeah. Yeah. And I kind of dug the whole Star Trek thing, Yeah. That you'd hear like explosions and the set wouldn't move, so you would have to move, much like they did in the TV show. I did notice I was the only one playing because you all were like, let's do the puzzles. And I'm like, Captain, it's going to explode in 10 minutes. And you're like, mm-hmm. And then back to the puzzle. I was like, no one wants to play make-believe. Now, one thing I will say, while I was very proud of us, we got it right at the last second. We saved it. They do have a list at the front of all their rooms ranked by difficulty.
Yes.
And the room that we almost lost is the second easiest room in the entire place.
But we did really well at the Scooby-Doo one, and that was higher up on the list.
You know what? I think because we had more Scooby-Doo fans. That must have been it.
That had to be. She tried to make it. She tried to help and make it not less terrible for us. But she was like, it's a different, like it's just a different way of thinking. This had different types of puzzles that were difficult for some people, whereas the other ones are easier. I don't know.
Yeah. But it was fun. Stupid. I really like escape rooms. I do too. They have some like scary themed ones where you're running from a zombie apocalypse and stuff. We should try one of those.
We should try one where you're like trying to escape a burning building.
That would be fun too.
As long as it was not really burning.
I don't know if you knew this, but they have escape rooms at Universal Studios now in City Walk.
Really?
Yeah. When I got home from this, my brother was home, and he was talking about how they went and did one. There's one that's based on Jurassic Park, and one based on, I think, Back to the Future.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, but it's $50 a person. So I was like, ooh, well, it's City Walk in Universal. So I was like, of course it'll be a little more expensive. But
it's it's not far from that.
Oh, I didn't
it's like
the
40.
Prices,
it was like,
oh, is it?
It was like somewhere between $35 and $40, maybe.
Ah. Well, maybe we'll give the Jurassic Park and Back to the Future a try.
Good times. It was all good. And Dave & Buster's is always great. They're really nice to us there. They take good care of us.
Yeah. Food is amazing.
The food is really good. There's some good wings.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I won't go into the point system of wings, but, I had a few.
How many points for each wing?
2. Each. Yeah, it depends on where you go. But sometimes it's like 1 point for each wing. But, because the chicken's 0 points, but it's just what it's cooked in that gives it points. Mm-hmm. And also sauce. Like, if you get hot sauce, like straight up hot sauce, then there's no butter in it, so there's no points.
Nice.
Oh, speaking of points, Dylan signed up for Weight Watchers.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, last night.
Why?
Because he wants to lose like 15 pounds. And he said he did notice that when I'm in town and he eats the way that I eat, that he feels much better than when I leave and he eats terribly. So
nice.
So that's cool.
Do y'all have the same amount of points or do you have different points?
He gets less points than I get.
Oh.
Just a few less. But it's not like Jen's where Jen, I for whatever reason, it asks you a bunch of questions and then it spits out how many points you get. And for her, she doesn't get unlimited fruits. Dylan and I do.
Sounds homophobic to me.
There's a gay joke in there somewhere. But this is what I got.
Oh, very nice.
From my tickets.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Oh, for those who aren't watching the video, it's a Dave & Buster's mug. It's like it's kind of cool because I wet it and then put it in the freezer so that it keeps my drink cold for longer.
Very nice. It didn't even dawn on me that people might not be watching the video. Did I say that this was an oversized wine glass?
I don't know.
I don't remember.
I did.
Anyway, I haven't.
I was like, oh, it's a big wine glass, yeah.
Yes, and a bell. I got a bell.
Well, they could hear that.
Yes, they
You
can.
did say it was pink, too. We good. We got you covered.
Yes.
We got you people covered.
For whatever senses you're using to listen, see, or feel this podcast, we're here for you.
Did you do anything else exciting?
No. Oh, we had Third Thursday at Savoy, so that was fun.
That was fun.
It benefited PFLAG in Orlando, which is a great organization.
I'd say it was a small crowd, but they were mighty with their donation giving of getting raffle tickets.
That they were.
And I'm a big fan of PFLAG, so kudos to PFLAG and the work that you do.
Yeah, beautiful. Other than that, the only thing I did is I went to the movies yesterday to see a movie that we're going to talk about here on the podcast. And after the film, I was like, I don't get that, because the only place it was playing was at the AMC at Disney Springs.
Did you go to the Lego store?
I was like, I'm going to walk around Disney Springs. And as I was walking out of the theater, there was a loud crash, and it seemed like right on the other side of Disney Springs, lightning started striking the ground. I don't know if you knew this, but like 2 weeks ago, a 17-year-old was struck by lightning here in Orlando.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, maybe not. So I walked back to the garage, I got in my car, and I went home.
Do you think that 17-year-old will now be a quirky comedian that puts shows on Max?
Or a superhero.
Or a problemista?
He's doing well from what the news said.
Oh, that's good.
He's bouncing back just fine. So maybe he'll have some sort of superhero
about to
powers.
say that must be like such a shock. But I didn't mean I didn't mean to make a joke.
Oh,
I meant
Richard, no.
It must be so insane to realize you got struck by lightning.
Yeah. Apparently it knocked him out and he woke up and he was like, what the hell happened? And they were like, lightning. You were struck by lightning.
Wow. Like, did it say where? Like in his toe, in his head?
I imagine the top of it, unless he was, it usually hits the highest point. So unless he was handstanding, I imagine it was his head. But I didn't look up the deets of it.
Okay. So you don't know what kind of shoes he was wearing?
No. He might not have had shoes on.
Oh, okay.
He was 17 and he was on the radio. That's all I know. Well, he wasn't. His story was.
Oh, okay.
I was showering at the time and they were talking about it on the radio and they were just talking about how he survived and he was doing great.
If there's a lightning storm outside, will you take a shower?
No. You know what's weird? Me and Chris had this conversation last week.
Really?
Because it was starting to, a thunderstorm is coming in. And he goes, I'm going to hop in the shower. And I said, and I don't know. If you Google it, it tells you not to. I was always raised with the fear that, hey, don't take a shower if it's a thunderstorm out because lightning will strike the pipes and you'll get electrocuted. And he was like, meh. And he went and took a shower. He was fine.
I mean, he's a nurse, so he would know. Right? Don't they teach that in nursing school?
I don't know. I feel like they would teach it in electrocution school.
When I was a child, my brother and I had these new kites, and we wanted to go fly kites because that's what we did.
I know you don't do that in a thunderstorm.
And so my mom left, and my sister was put in charge of us. And she's like, I don't know, like 10 years older than us. So
your mom was?
My sister?
Oh, I thought you said your mom.
No, my sister is put in We're not
I was
from
so
that.
confused.
We're not from that part of Ohio.
I thought you were like, my mom was put in charge of us, and she was like 10 years older.
No,
I was like, what?
My mom was gone. She put my sister in charge of us, and she was like 10 years.
She Googled it. It is not safe to shower
I
during
don't
a
know.
thunderstorm.
Yeah, but you're reading the AI-generated answer, and AI is not smart. So she was put in charge, and we were like, can we go fly our kites? And she said no. She didn't say no, there's a thunderstorm. She just said no. So we were like, well, we're going to go anyway. So we grab our kites and we walk down to the baseball field that was the end of our block. Now, we are flying kites in a thunderstorm. near power lines.
Yeah, like little Ben Franklin's.
Like, I mean, there were power lines. To think about it now, oh man, my mom came home and we were still at the baseball fields, and she just came walking up to those fields. We were in so much trouble.
Did you have keys tied to the end? That's what Ben Franklin did. He tied a key to the end of his kite.
Now, that's probably why we were safe. And plus, electricity had already been discovered. We didn't have to discover it.
That's true. Yeah, I've always been told, and I remember having this talk when I was in the military. I don't know how it came up, but I remember the guy in my office who was my boss. I was like, "That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard." And it was the early days of the internet, so I didn't have a phone to pull out and be like, "Well, I'll prove you wrong." And I was like, "I'm just telling you what I was told as a kid. You can take it or leave it."
I wonder if there is
He later died from a lightning strike.
I want to know if there is any known case of somebody being electrocuted in the shower because the pipes got struck by lightning.
Yeah. I mean, why risk it?
Or maybe even just the house. I just don't know. I'm just curious.
Why risk it?
If you've been struck by lightning while showering, please send us an email at wwn@watermarkonline.com. So the 17-year-old was standing near a tree,
and the tree
got struck by lightning through a tree. Well, and then, it's probably that probably helped him. I would imagine the tree took on some of that.
Do you think
juice?
Because that's how the Flash got his powers, because the lightning passed through chemicals. Do you think now he's like Groot? Because lightning passed through a tree and passed the tree powers
I thought you were going to say
him?
like he's really fast, and I'm like, I don't know. If you're listening, run on in here real quick and tell us.
No, he's now like got Groot powers. He's a human tree. That's kind of cool. I'd be a human tree. That'd be fun.
Did I tell you about this book that Dylan got me?
I did not know you were reading a book, so no.
Oh, let me tell you the kind of book.
Okay.
And then you'll be like, oh, you're still not reading a book. Okay.
It's a Kama Sutra.
It's the joy of gay sex.
He's like, take a hint,
do you think it means something? No, he bought me this book. I'm just changing gears here.
Sure,
he bought me this book like a month ago, because we're always, I don't know if this happens to all couples at some point in your life. You're sitting around and you're like, hey, what do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do? It's the same thing about what do you want to eat.
Yeah.
Whoever solves that problem on what anybody wants to eat, let me know.
I'll tell you right now, that's not just an issue for couples.
And so it's funny because when I'm in Orlando, like my dance card is full. Mm-hmm. I'm always doing because I'm here because I have something that I have to be doing. So I'm always doing something. And then I go there, and he and I sit in the living room and watch TV all the time. And well, I do, and he scrolls on his phone. And when I come to Orlando, then I've got things to do. Then he's like texting me. He's like, oh, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this. And I was like, why is it when I'm there, all we do is sit on the couch? Because we can never think of what to do. So he bought me this book, and it's to help couples decide what they should do. And it's broken down into things like, do you want to stay at home? Do you want to go out? Do you want to spend this much money? Do you want food involved? And that kind of stuff. But it's all like, you can't see what it is. So you it's like a scratcher, like lottery tickets. So you take a coin and you scratch what you do, what's there, but you have to do what it says, right? And so we were sitting there, or that's our rule. Like, if you scratch it off, we have to do what it says. Yeah. So it can't be like, oh, I don't want to do that, because that's just lame, right? Which was my initial reaction on Saturday when we scratched this off. So we're like,
what did it say?
Because he's like, let's do date night. And I was like, okay, because we were going to see this movie that we're going to talk about later. But the movie was only playing during the day, and he had shoots photo shoots. Oh. So like, we couldn't go in the evening. And then I was like, well, let's go see Twisters. And he was like, okay, let's go see Twisters. And then I was about to buy the tickets, and he's like, but I really don't want to see that movie. And I'm like, okay, then we won't. So we were like, what are we going to do? So he scratches this thing off. So here's what it tells us to do. Okay. It says that you go to different dollar stores, and you have a budget of $5 each. And then you buy things at the dollar store that represent your partner. And then you come home, and you sit back to back, and you wrap the presents, and then you exchange them. And I thought, God, I got to get dressed and leave the house. So then what we decided to do was to go to the same dollar store, because why are we going to drive separately to different?
Yeah.
And then we're going to come home, wrap them, and then we're going to go out to dinner, and then we'll exchange the gifts while we're at dinner. And I thought that was really fun. Now, we didn't adhere to all the rules because I don't know if you're aware of this, but I don't think there is a dollar store, correct me if I'm wrong, where anything is $1.
Isn't Dollar Tree everything is $1?
$1.25 is the cheapest I found there. So I was like, well, I'm going to get 5 things. So we both ended up spending about $6.50 because we both bought each other 5 things. And it was really interesting.
Slow down, big spenders.
I know. It's interesting. Well, because then we went to Bonefish and we're like, well, screw it. We only spent $5 a piece. Let's go to Bonefish and use a gift card. I feel like John Travolta and Look Who's Talking too. And by went to Bonefish, I meant we went into the dumpster outside of Bonefish. No. So it's interesting to me how it was like interpreted. So Dylan bought 5 things that he knew I would really like. But I went this representative route and I bought 5 things that symbolized what I think he's about. Or that kind of a thing.
Okay.
So, like, he got me this cup that has Stitch on it because I'm a big fan of Stitch, and I love clean linen candles. And he got me a clean linen candle. There were other things that I cannot think of at the moment, but they were all things that, like, a box of extreme Sour Patch Kids, which, in case you're curious, 7 points for 12 pieces. So I haven't really dug into that yet, but in 10 more pounds, I'm going to eat them. And things like that, right? That's what he got. So then I went to a different route. So I bought this sign. It's like a real long, narrow sign that says, welcome to our home. And he's like, is this because we own a home together? And I said, no, it's because I live in my car, basically. I don't feel like I really have a home anywhere. I was like, unless I'm with you and you're home to me. So when I'm with you, I feel like I'm out. You might want to get another carton of wine because they don't get any less sappy.
Oh, Lord.
And then there was
Go on.
There was one that's like, I got him this thing that you paint and then you put in the sun and then the sun cooks it and makes it like a piece of artwork somehow.
Because he's the son of your
because he's very creative. He's a very creative person, so that's why I did that. And then I got one that said it's a gnome that's wearing like a beehive hat, and it says "Be kind."
Because he's kind.
Because he's the nicest guy I know. He's a very nice person. He's very kind. Even though he pretends not to be, he really is. He cares about people's feelings. Which is like nice because we're like yin and yang. Anyway, it was really cool. It was a lot of fun.
That wasn't 5 things.
Yeah, I know. I got him other things too.
What did you get him?
Well, I got him a crossword book from Friends. It was a Friends crossword puzzle book. Because it's a puzzle and he's smart. Because it's a comedy show.
And he's
funny. He's hilarious. And he's my lobster. Not from that stupid movie. Like Jen's like, oh, she laughed when I said that. She's like, that's really cool. Lobster. Oh, that's a stupid movie. I was like, no, it's from the episode where she's like Ross and Rachel are each other's lobster.
Was that 4 things? What was the 5th thing?
What was the 5th thing? I don't remember. But it's a lot of fun. I recommend that people do stuff like that because it's interesting. And then we had a lovely dinner at Bonefish with a fantastic waitress who was assertive yet kind. She's like, you're going to get in here, you're going to eat your food, and get out of my way because I'm going to get another table or I got to go to this party and I don't want you lingering. She didn't say it in those words, but she said it. But I appreciated it.
She said it with gifts from the dollar store. She was like, here is a Roadrunner pin.
That's funny.
Here is the world's fastest cedar medal. You get to wear it because you want to eat real fast.
It was really cute. You and Chris should do that. Or you and your brother. That'd be fun.
Maybe we will. We'll try something like that.
Jeremy's like, I don't want no dollar Lego.
Do they have? I don't know if they have dollar Legos, but they do have $5 Lego sets at Five Below, and they're kind of cool. They're SpongeBob themed and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle themes. I'm thinking of buying them.
Well, if you're a Rockefeller, you could do the same thing, but go to Five and Below. Oh, sorry, Five Below. I love
Five Below. I think it's a fun store. It's like going to the dollar store, but classier. It's a step up when you've had a really good week and you made a little extra money.
I will say this about that store we went to. It was not the first one that we went to.
Was it a Dollar General or a Dollar Tree?
It's just the first one that we were willing to go into.
Oh. Driving through the rough neighborhoods, were you?
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, it's just like there were just like a group of people in front of some of them that were like just like, you know, it's like I don't carry cash, so I feel bad when people are going to be like, you know, ask for money, and they were holding doors open and hitting people up for money, and
That's nice. They
that
hold
kind
the
of
door
thing.
open.
Well, because they want you to give them money, and you don't, they slam it in your face and punch you. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh.
And it was just like I don't want to deal with. I don't have cash.
Do you live in District 12 of Hunger Games?
Do you ever tell people that you don't have cash?
All the time.
And then like, they ask you for money, you're like, I don't have cash. And they're like, well, just pick me up something to eat while you're in there.
Oh, I've never had anybody say
They
that.
do that all the time. And I'm like, oh, that's a good one.
Probably because people are like, hey, can I get some money? I'm like, I don't have cash. Bah, humbug. And then I storm off. It's a good time. They don't ask follow-up questions.
Or like, do you ever get hit up for money at the gas station?
Not really. I have a really good resting bitch face I can put on where people won't bug me. So they leave me alone.
I've seen that face a lot. And now I'm starting to question everything.
No, you haven't.
Yeah, maybe it's where I live. You know, like in
Maybe you're looking too friendly when you're out there.
Oh, I'm just like I'm sitting there pumping gas, like
Never smile.
just dropping cash and food all over the place. Like,
Oops,
oh,
I dropped my
$5. Oh, a whole pizza. My God, I have so much to spare. No, but one time I gave money to somebody who came up and said they needed money to get to Daytona from Orlando, and they were like, so I gave them $10 in gas money. Now, I will say I was in my 20s. It was a long time ago. They were like in their 20s, and they looked like they had just come from the beach, and they were just wearing towels, and
Oh.
you
were trying to do.
Some of them were attractive.
You were trying
And so
to
I
do things.
So I gave them $10. I was like, here you go. And then I watched them go get in their car and drive away. And I was like, never again.
When I was younger, because I was a much more kind and giving person when I was younger. When I was in my 20s, me and my friend Jason, we lived in southern Georgia. This is where my mom lives now. And it's just across the Florida-Georgia border. And we were going to Jacksonville. And right as we were getting ready to get on 95, there was a guy hitchhiking. And Jason was driving, and he starts to pull off to the road. And I was like, what are you doing? And he goes, he needs a ride. We'll find out where he needs to go. So he comes over, and we're like, where are you heading? And he goes into Jacksonville. He's trying to get to the bus station. So we're like, hop in. We'll take you to the bus station. So we drove him, which was probably about a 35, 40-minute drive. With him in the backseat, I was like, oh, I hope he doesn't have a big knife because he's just going to stab us through the seat. But we were
I've
dumb.
heard this on My Favorite Murder.
We were dumb and young. So we get there, and he's telling us his life story, that he had a falling out with his parents, and he was trying to get home. He was like in his early 20s, too. He was trying to get back home to like Virginia or something. So he was trying to get money for a bus ticket. So we dropped him off at the bus thing, and we let him off, and he went over to the payphone. He put a little quarter in there because this was back in the day when people used payphones. And he was sitting there chatting. I told Jason, I was like, how much could a bus ticket cost? So we went inside, and we found out how much a bus ticket would cost to go to Virginia. And then we went out there, and he was on the phone, and he was crying, telling his dad, I've only got this much money, and, you know, I'm not going to be able to get up there. So we went up there and told him we were buying a bus ticket for him. He started to bawl and hug us. We felt like such good people. We were like, oh my God, we should pick hitchhikers up and get them home all the time. He's dead now. No, I'm just kidding.
Lightning strike.
But I felt so good because it was like it was in the fall. So it was like coming up on the holidays, and we felt like good people.
Well, it is nice to do good things for people. There was one guy that I gave a 20 to, he was panhandling on the streets here, like Michigan and over in that area, Michigan and Conway.
Yeah.
And I gave him $20, and he looked at it and he was like, oh my God. And he walked immediately from there to the sub shop and grabbed lunch. Because I was like, what's he doing with this 20? Where's he going to go? So I watched, and he went inside, grabbed some food, and was like, see, like, I think, like, if it's possible, like, I know there's no litmus test for this, and we must sound like terrible privileged people to have this conversation. But I feel like if you're at a certain area, you know whether people are asking for money for food and shelter because they need it, or if they're asking for money because they want a next fix. And I'm not going to blame. I mean, if you're unhoused and you're, and that gets you through the day, then you do you. I just don't want to give money for that. But so it's nice when you feel like you're doing something helpful and it turns out to be helpful.
I don't know if it's just who I've grown into, but if you came up to me and you're like, hey, can I get $10 because I want to get wasted? Might be more likely to give you the money. Because I totally get it.
Yeah. Well, and that is why you are the wine part of this podcast, and I am the wine not.
Where are you going to be drinking at? Maybe I'll join you.
Somebody comes up to me and is like, can I have $10 to get wasted? And I point at Jeremy and I say, go talk to that guy.
And I'll be like,
you
where
want
you want to go, bro?
You want a burger? Talk to me.
What kind of fun we going to get into tonight?
But then I'll be like, you want a burger with my $10? Do you know how many points that is? Let me tell you what. Let's go get some celery and some salsa. You're going to love it.
That is 0 points.
So
yeah.
Stupid.
No, telling that story now, it makes me think maybe I should start doing more good deeds. Or
well,
maybe I do, and I just don't share them. Because I'm not a bragger.
Speaking of good deeds, I did go see the movie Twisters.
What did you think of it?
It's not a good deed. It's terrible, and I hated it.
Oh, like just blatantly worst movie ever?
I don't know how to describe it.
Start with tornadoes.
It's unrealistic, right? It's just unrealistic at every turn. Now, I know, we just talked about how much I like Star Trek, and yes, that is also unrealistic. Maybe in this galaxy. Maybe there's a galaxy far, far away where
Wrong
it is.
movie.
Live long and may the force be with you.
Boldly going where no others have gone before. That's yours.
This is not the green alien lady you were looking for.
No.
No. So anyway, it's just, I don't want to give anything away. It just came out. If you want to see it, go see it. It's just too, I enjoy country music, but I don't enjoy fast-paced pickup truck Alan Jackson country music. And this is a movie version of, that song Little Bitty? I hate that song with a passion. I hate it so much. You should
love that song.
You'll love Twisters then, because that's what it is. This is exactly what it is about. It's about a little bitty town. It's not a little bitty truck, but it might as well be. This little bitty truck that can drive through tornadoes. Please.
Do you like that song? I Think My Tractor's Sexy.
I think that I don't think that my PO would allow me to listen to this.
I love that song. Love it.
Nah. There's a lot of country music that I do really like. I tend to like most of the older stuff.
Yeah. Well, this is an old song. 20 plus years, I think, is when it came out.
I'm talking like George Jones and Patsy Cline and
I
Loretta Lynn.
I do love some Patsy Cline, some Johnny Cash.
In fact, one of the things that I loved so much about the movie we're going to talk about is, I don't think this is a country song, but when the one character, when they were singing End of the World, I love that song.
Yeah, that is not a country song, but I did like that rendition.
It was very good. So anyway, maybe you'll like it. Maybe there's a lot of people, driving around with
love Twister,
big flags on the back of their trucks and wearing red hats saying, I love this movie.
I might like Twisters because Twister was very good.
The whole, I don't know, dude. Maybe it's just because we've seen it so many times that you would think a modern day movie, like the relationship between the two main characters, wouldn't be so 1980s. I don't know. It had very much like a Dirty Dancing relationship feel to it, where it was just so predictable and so outrageously not good. It's just the writing. Maybe maybe that's what it is. But the action scenes were cool.
Special effects pretty on
not
point.
Plausible, but cool. The special effects were cool. So that's it. I will say, like I told you this earlier, but I was listening to everyone's conversations as we were leaving, and literally everyone who was talking about this movie said, I didn't hate it. So yeah, I guess I didn't hate it, but I would give it 1 grape.
I want to see how it did in
you
the box office.
You know what else? It's got that type of character that's supposed to be like the dumb funny guy. Just so over the top. Like they were
opened $80.5 million.
They're just caricatures. Do you know why it opened like that? Because the marketing behind it is brilliant. And Anthony Ramos is a great actor, and you're like, I want to see this movie. It's going to be great.
I love Anthony Ramos, but does anyone go to a movie thinking that's an Anthony Ramos movie? So I need to see that.
Well, he started In the Heights, or is that the people say like, oh, that's a
In the Heights was not a hit.
That's a I guess it depends on who you ask.
The movie version was not a hit, box office wise. It did not make good money.
Box office. What do they know?
I mean, that's what dictates what you're going to see next year.
All right. Well, speaking of seeing things, let's talk about things we saw.
All right.
Do you want to talk about the show that you hate first, the show that you hated more first?
Let's talk about the show.
That's a good idea. The television show?
Yes.
Okay.
One's a movie, one's a show. Okay. Let's talk about the show.
We'll talk about the show. So, let me say right off the bat that I am a huge fan of Big Brother.
And let me just say off the bat, I have never watched a season of Big Brother.
Right. And no one that works here does. In fact, it's weird when Kathleen used to work here, like every day I'd watch Big Brother and I would come into work and I'd be like, Kathleen, do you watch Big Brother? She's like, no. And then like a week later I forget. Kathleen, do you watch Big Brother? She's like, still no. So she never
it's
never
the reason
watched it.
She actually quit.
But it's interesting, like as you grow up and as your mood changes or your what you think is cool changes, like it all changes your opinions of things. But I've been watching this show for like a very long time, like 15 years maybe. I started watching it when I was an alcoholic. Well, I mean, I guess I still am. You don't outgrow that, right? So, but when I was a drinking alcoholic, and there was this episode where there are 16 contestants, right? But what they did this season is they put 8 people in the house, and then they said, okay, well, there's 8 of you here. And they're like, now what you don't know is that there are 8 people already living in the house, and one of you will know one of them. And what they ended up doing then is they brought those other 8 people out, and they were all people who were estranged relatives, friends.
What season was this?
It's so good. I don't know. Maybe somewhere around 11, something like that. But if you just type in what season was Evil Dick on, he was on 2. And it's the first one that he was on, and it is chaos. Like he was on there. Evil Dick was on there with his daughter, and they hadn't spoken in years. And then there were people that had been in relationships that had broken up and that ended badly. It would be like if my most recent ex and I were in a house together. That's how awful
this seems like
would
a
be.
Hateful way to do a show.
It was, and Evil Dick got his name because he was just this terrible, conflict-ridden person, and it was so uncomfortable to watch, but Jen and I were watching it and we got hooked, and we couldn't believe that people treated each other this way. So we got hooked. Now as you get older, you kind of get tired of, like, you might think like that kind of stuff is childish and whatnot, but then there's this one year where this guy which just hated everybody, so he would just take pots and pans and like at 6 a.m. he'd just walk around the house banging them and being like, hey everybody, you hate me, I hate you. And it was just crazy. So
why wouldn't they just vote that guy off?
Well, I'll tell you why in a second. Okay. I mean, you can't just get somebody out of the house. Like there's fail safes in there, right? So I've been watching it ever since. So the premise of the show, right, is that you've got 16 people who start off living in a house. And just the nuts and bolts of it, right, is they compete, right? So you get 16 people that come in, and they'll compete for a head of household. And that whoever wins that competition is the head of household. They nominate 2 people to go home, right? But those 2 people get a chance to fight for their right to stay in the game, which is one of the fail-safes. So that's what's called the veto competition. If they win, they can veto that nomination and come off the block, and then the head of household has to put somebody else up. And then everybody votes, and that person goes out, whoever they vote out. This year is different, which is interesting, which we'll get into because they're changing the rules. But just in that what I think is a simple structure, because I've been watching it for a very long time, in that there can be so much chaos and so many different things that happen. They haven't done this one in a while, but they had a contestant on there who was America's contestant, and he had to do whatever America voted for him to do. So regardless of what he thought of anybody or what his opinions were, if he carried out the task that they set forth, he got $5,000. So he just kept doing it, and like he was best friends with somebody, and he's like, "Oh, you're the best, And then America said, "You have to get that person nominated to go home," and so he just went behind his best friend's back and destroyed her game. She got nominated and he got $5,000. And it's so crazy, which is one reason that I really like this season, because they're introducing this idea of AI, which is sort of just taking the world by storm, and that it's like the AI is going to manipulate the game based on studying human behavior, which I thought, that's pretty clever, because that's what this whole is just a study of what people are willing to do to each other to get ahead. And it's crazy. It's a kind of a show too. For the first 3 or 4 weeks, I just spend the time hating everybody until they start to form their cliques and you start to get into the gameplay and the actual not conniving, because it's not all conniving, but just like the strategy of it all comes out, and so I really dig it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going into this blind. I don't know anything about it. And I get that it's been on for, what is it, Big Brother 26? So they go in just saying stuff, because they've had the first 3 episodes. They do 3 episodes a week, just saying things, assuming that you've already caught up and you know what this and that means. So,
I was thinking about it as I was watching it.
They don't explain it,
and I was like, Jeremy's not going to know anything that they're talking about.
Yeah,
and
so I have a list of questions.
So it's a disservice that they do. For example, because this season, as I told you, the head of household nominates 2 people. Well, this season, the head of household is going to nominate 3 people, and then, which
I'm assuming is surprising. Did not surprise me at all.
Right. And then they was like, but you still can compete in this competition and the veto, or when those people were being downgraded and they said you don't get to compete in veto, you're probably like, what the hell does that mean?
Yeah. I did like their little mascot outfits though.
I like that guy. Do you want to just go through the contestants real fast?
Yeah. So the show is split up into 3 nights. It airs Wednesday, Thursdays, and Sundays for those who want to follow along for the next 90 days.
Do you know this? Do you know that there's such a cult following around Big Brother that there are 24-hour live feeds, and that people watch? I did see those
on Paramount Plus. I pulled them up, and they have like the 4 different cameras, and then you can have all 4 on. And I had that up for a few minutes, and nothing was happening. I was like, why the fuck am I watching this?
I don't watch the live feeds, but I do wait until something happens, and then I'll go and I'll read about the live feeds, because I'm impatient. I can't wait to find out who won veto or who won power of or who won head of household. I have to find out right away.
Yeah.
Which is why I love the live feeds, because people will watch, and this is where a lot of people get in trouble too. People who get kicked off the show for saying racist things or being crazy,
because they're like, "Oh, we're not on TV."
They get caught on the live feeds.
TV, all 24/7.
Yeah. Okay, so the show starts off with this. It's so fake, right?
Oh, that's my first question. Are we supposed to believe that they're just discovering that they're on Big Brother? They're like, "Oh, I got the key." You're doing it in front of a camera crew.
The one guy hugged the camera guy, and I was like, "Why do you think the camera guy's there?" Now, I don't know. And it's possible that they're like, hey, you're like, maybe they go to film.
You're a finalist kind of thing.
Yeah, you're a finalist. And so we're just here to this is the final interview, when it's actually you're going to find out that you're going out.
Oh.
That's possible, but I don't know. I don't believe it. That's one
Seemed
thing.
ridiculous to me.
It was absurd. It made me laugh.
So there's 16 house guests in the when the show starts, which right off the bat, I don't watch a whole lot of reality show, but that just seems like a lot of people. That seems like too many people. But they do introduce 8 in the first episode, and then 8 in the second episode.
Yes, which is something new this year too, because they usually introduce all 16 in the first night, but they're trying to stretch this out.
They
make
probably
the money.
knew that would annoy me. Thanks for stretching it out. I forgot her name. Lucy?
Julie. Oh, my God. Any Big Brother fans, I apologize. Julie Chen Moonves. Or
sorry,
as we used to call her, Julie Chen.
I refused to show respect to any Moonves.
You're going to get really annoyed if you don't like her because every time somebody goes into the diary room to vote somebody out, they are like, "Hi, Julie, you look amazing." And
Hi,
she's
Julie.
like, "Thank you. You do too." Like, ugh. And one thing I do like about this season too, though, is that the people, when they are in the diary room, that's what they call it when they're just sitting on that chair and talking to the camera. They're not screaming. People usually are just. There was one season it just seemed like everybody was screaming or like, "Duh, why is this happening?" But they all talk normal. It's good.
Yeah.
All right, so
run down the list.
first, so this is the first 8, right?
Yeah.
These are the first 8 people. Rabina.
I wrote really quick one word, kind of emotions that I felt when I saw their little thing. Meh.
Right. She's an events bartender. I was like, she's a lot.
Yeah.
I kind of like her roller skating. That was cute and funny. But I hate the bossy BS. She's like, I'm bossy.
I don't like when they come in like, and we'll get to one, Angela, who's just like, I'm the life of the party. No, you're not. You're obnoxious. Anybody who comes in and says, I'm the life of the party, everyone around you thinks you're obnoxious.
Okay. So you know that episode of, what's it called? Saved by the Bell? I'm so excited.
Yes.
I'm so scared.
I'm so scared.
I just want to tell you and everybody listening that in the next episode of Big Brother, Angela has her Jessie moment.
Oh,
and I
Jesus.
cannot wait for it. Anyway, okay, so yeah, I don't like it. Not a fan. Now, it'll change. You'll go all over the place. But immediately, first impressions, not a fan. But I'm usually not a fan of anybody. Then Cam.
He's hot.
Love him. And that's so weird for me to say.
I should say right off the bat, if I say someone's hot, it means I really liked them.
But he seems like his thing was, I want to come in here and I know that I'm stacked. I know that I'm a good looking guy, but I just want people to know that I'm not the competitive get everybody out. I'm just really sweet.
He's
guy.
also a physical therapist, which means he likes to help people.
Yeah.
I like that.
I like him for you.
Yeah.
Cam, if you're listening, which I know you're not because you can't be.
Cam, you could work with me. You could turn this
Oh my
tubby
God.
white old man into a happy tubby white old man.
Didn't your mom used to say that what did she say about Cam?
Huh?
From not this guy, from Modern Family.
Oh, no, not Cam. Nathan Lane.
Nathan Lane. Oh, okay.
My mother loves Nathan Lane and would be so happy if I brought him home and said, Mama, I'm marrying Nathan
I
Lane.
think she'll be just as happy when you bring Cam home.
Me too.
So then there's Mackenzie.
I hate the way she spells her name. That's not how you spell Mackenzie.
First
it looks
word.
like Mansky.
First word after Mackenzie. Ugh. Not a fan.
I also put
I just want to say this, and no offense, Mackenzie, or anyone like Mackenzie, but of course her name is Mackenzie.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, she's just very generic for Big Brother. It's
very
like
basic.
Yeah.
Cowgirl. Oh, my girls and me. We're going to the club.
I'm from
Yeehaw.
Dallas.
Woo-hoo. Yeehaw.
She probably loves Twisters. So then I wrote this down. Okay, so then Joseph.
I find Joseph intriguing and odd.
I wrote 3 things down about him. First of all, mustache. I will always refer to him as Mustache from now on.
He's got a nice thick porn stash there.
Yeah, Jen said he looked like, she said, is that John Lovitz?
Oh,
And then I said, is that Ron Jeremy's kid? Because he has a Ron Jeremy vibe.
I was blown away by the fact that he works at a video store. I did not know first that there are video stores still. Secondly, he works at a video store in Tampa. We're going to have to go visit.
Well, let's go before he gets voted out because I don't want to go there
While he's there.
He won't be working there anymore. Like he'll be an influencer after this. That's what they all do. If he's not already.
I don't know what he's influencing other than facial hair.
All right, and then your favorite, Angela, who is
I'm the cool mom.
She's a real.
Fucking
That's
God.
what she's like.
Blessed.
She's a real estate agent from. Is she not from
Utah.
Oh, from Utah. Oh,
Yep.
that's right, Salt Lake City.
I wrote, ugh, God.
Because she's like I have. Because when she was saying like I have 4 kids, I have a husband, and Jen goes and 13 sister wives.
She is so obnoxious.
She really is.
She also calls herself a super fan, and I cannot stand shows where people call themselves super fans.
Oh, well, you're not gonna like this because people do it all the time on this
Hate
one.
it.
Now, nobody take a shower. It's starting to thunder here. I figured you would hate her because immediately she starts crying.
Oh my God.
She's already crying.
Throughout the first 3 episodes, she cries over everything.
She got her key and she starts crying.
She's like, I can't believe it. I'm such a fan. Shut up, Angela.
But she's not the only one. Because then there's Chemo.
Chemo. First, I put, at least he's gay.
Yeah.
Secondly, I put, oh God, crying again.
Yes, I put she's crying too.
Come on, keep your tears in.
I do like, okay, I kind of dig his backstory because they did kind of show like people who are big fans of it.
He's
while
from
they're
Hawaii.
watching. He's from Hawaii. He's
an artist.
He's gay, and his brother accepted him for being gay when he was very young, and his brother
lost his battle with cancer.
Yeah.
His brother was hot too.
And
I don't know if you're allowed to say that about somebody who died.
Like
but
that
he was hot.
story is great to me.
Yeah.
And so I was a fan of him.
I am rooting for Chemo only because he's gay, because I have to root for my people.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't really have anything to add to that other than I will always support the gays.
He's not the next couple of episodes. I don't think that he's not going to be somebody that I'm rooting for.
Yeah.
Because I like good players. He doesn't seem like a good player. Yeah, maybe he'll turn out to be.
I did write this down because they're doing the little intro and he's talking to his mom, and his mom said, "Don't let people borrow your clothes." Is that a thing that they do?
I don't know.
I thought it was weird that she was like,
yeah.
"Don't let them borrow your clothes."
Well, like people who get in showmances, they'll wear each other's clothes.
Oh, all
that
right.
kind of a thing. Or they'll maybe he'll leave a sweatshirt behind and people
from what
will
you were
wear
telling me, there won't be a showmance with him because they don't let.
Yeah, I mean it's weird because I've watched the show for a long time and there haven't been two I don't know what the word is, two people of the same identity of this other than heterosexual.
Yeah.
In a house. So I believe one season there was a gay kid and a transgender woman. But
not like two lesbians or two gay men or
that
two
hasn't happened.
non-binaries.
So like the setup for a showmance that is queer has not
makes it difficult.
Has not they've not paved the way for that.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if that's by design.
Seems
You
homophobic
tell me,
to me.
BB 26. All right.
Are you listening, Julie?
I'm sure you look fabulous, but I want to know why we don't have gay
gays are putting
showmances.
your hair and makeup and costumes together.
26 seasons and no gay showmance.
I need to see some gay loving on this show.
Plenty of gay baiting. Like they had a gay character, a gay guy on there who was like in a bromance with a straight guy, and they used to cuddle all the time and that kind of thing. But
straight men who cuddle with gay men is like the hottest. That is a green flag.
I don't know. I know. No, I can't say that. Can't say that. So then the next up is Chelsea, who's a nonprofit executive. I don't like half hood, half holy. I was like, no, thank you.
Yeah, she's a religious motivational speaker. I wrote meh next to her name.
Yeah. Then there's Tucker.
Tucker is
who has,
so fucking hot.
Do you think so?
Yes, and he has gay dad.
Yeah, he had a gay
I don't
dad.
know why I just said it like that. Tucker have gay dad.
I wrote this down. He's a golden retriever.
Yeah, I love golden retrievers. Yeah. I love it. I love Tucker.
But his dad passed away, yes?
Did he?
I think so.
I didn't hear that part.
I don't know.
Tucker,
I don't know.
Call me.
Tucker, if Tucker's father, I know if you're listening. I know you're listening, whether you're of this earth or not, but I apologize if you're alive.
Tucker is the protein bar chef. Is that?
Yes.
Yeah. Which I find fascinating.
I like
some
Tucker.
of his recipes.
I don't hate
I love
Tucker.
Tucker.
I like what he did to Julia.
I love Tucker to tuck into
that
bed
her
with me
name?
and
Anyway.
be my straight cuddle buddy.
Okay, so those are the first 8, real
Yes.
quick. And so then, and this is important for BB fans to know, right? So I'll just say Tucker, Angela, Chemo, and Chelsea were the first 4 invited in. And you got a glimpse of this, but did you notice like somebody held the door open and nobody walked through?
One of them talked about, I guess, the first person to walk into the house has never won.
Has never won. And so the last couple of seasons, it'll be like somebody will open the door and usher somebody else through. And so that's why nobody wanted to go in. And Tucker was like, fuck it, I'm going in.
I like Tucker.
Yeah. Okay, so they're all in there, but then they get it, and usually this is the part of Big Brother I hate the most. Is like people walk in and they're like, "Oh my god!" hot. Oh,
I
this
wrote
hot. Like,
here, are they going to have this much fucking energy the entire season? Because I don't
think,
like it.
for the most part, until they get mad at each other. But then did you notice Angela gave Chelsea a hug and like grabbed her ass and told her how beautiful she was?
No.
Maybe
But
I was
don't
wrong,
put it past
Julie.
Angela.
Maybe I was wrong. Maybe this is the big showmance for the queers. So then I wrote this, and this comes up several times. I don't know any of you, so I apologize if I say I hate you. I don't really. I don't know you.
I don't hate any of you either, but I severely am annoyed by you,
But
Angela.
and I'll go back and forth. I'll love you at one week, and I'll hate you the next. So I just wrote here, I hate Angela. Angela's the only person that there's a running theme of things like this going on. So then after they're in, they let Cam, Mac, Joseph, and Rabina in. And then... So then they all get in the house, and
Yeah.
the first thing that they do is they have this new competition, and they're like, we want to invite a 9th guest in
Yes.
now, a house guest. So you have to vote.
I call her Katy Perry because she looks like a blue-haired
Yeah.
Katy Perry to me.
You know, they set it up like, like here's this person. Turns out she's like a famous influencer.
Oh, is she?
That's what I heard.
Oh, okay.
So anyway.
So wait a minute. The blue-haired girl,
Yes.
she was not generated.
No. I don't
I was
think.
like, I was in awe.
But I was
of
like,
how-
why? But she should have been.
Should have been.
Because the technology exists now, but
We
maybe
have
she
the
was.
technology.
Don't quote me on this. I gotta research better. So maybe it is. So anyway, it's like, hey, there's this character Ansley, and Ansley wants to come in, and Ansley gives a speech. It's like, I can be good for you, and I won't hurt your game. Blah 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 blah.
Hi guys.
So then
I'd love to join the house with you.
Hey fam. I've been a big fan of BB all my life. So then they have to vote as to whether or not they will allow this contestant to come in. That if the majority of the people say yes, great. But of course, the majority of the people said no.
Yeah.
So then she morphs into this, I am a robot and I'm going to destroy you because you didn't let me in. So then, so what happens then is like she announces like I'm headmaster of this game this year, and I'm studying the human condition, and I said if you let me in it would help your game, but since you didn't, there's punishments. So the people who voted yes competed to get upgraded, to get an advantage in the game, and the people who voted no had to play a game to see who was going to get punished.
Yeah.
And
Upgraded and downgraded.
yeah. I just want to say, so the game that the people who wanted them in, the game they had to play,
The
is
yes game.
Yeah, the yes people is that they had to, not using their hands, just their face, they had to move.
No.
Oh, is
It
that
was
wrong?
the spinning in the chair.
Okay.
And then you
right,
had
right.
to-
That was the next day.
Yeah.
It was the next day. You're right. So they had to spin in the chair, and colors flashed on the walls, and then they had to go, and then it was sort of like a Simon Says kind of a game.
In the right color sequence while you were
Yeah.
all dizzy. Which looked... when I was watching, I was like, I would have answered no, because I was like, why would you bring a new player in?
Right.
But I was so happy. It was like, if I was in there, I'd be so happy I hit no.
Right.
So I don't want to throw up spinning around in that chair.
I would have liked to have played that game. But the only thing I wrote about that game or any of them, because I didn't find them very interesting, was watching Mustache try to walk after he got out of the chair.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious. I want to see that game as a company.
Oh, that looked nauseating. And then the losers, or the no game, the people who said, no, you can't come in, they had to put their head up into boxes of pests, like snakes and roaches. It was blocked off. It was like, how is that scary? Like, make them put their heads up in there when they're not.
You want to make this a competition? Remove the tube. They put their head in the tube.
And
no,
then you just look
to,
around at snakes and
You
spiders.
need to have the
scary.
fear of a snake biting your eyeball out.
And then you had
That's
to
what
look
you
at
get for
mixed
keeping
up
Ansley out.
letters, and then you pulled your head out, and then you had to put them on a board. And the person in the yes game who got the sequence right, the furthest along the color sequence, got an upgrade, and the person who took the longest time to rearrange the words, they got a downgrade.
But they don't tell you in the first episode who got what.
Well, they did at the very end. They didn't tell them, but they told us who the upgrade and the downgrade was.
At the end of the first episode? Oh, I thought they
Julie
waited
comes
until...
on. She's like,
I thought they did that at the end of the second episode.
no, at the end of the second episode, they told us who the second round
okay.
was. But they were like, Julie comes on. She's like, what an exciting time. That's my Julie impersonation. And she's like, Mackenzie was upgraded and Chelsea was downgraded, but they don't know.
Mackenzie
Thanks, Julie.
upgraded, Chelsea downgraded. All right, so then we go to episode 2,
Night 2.
where...
Which were the same night for me because I watched them both on Friday.
Yeah. So here's the next 8. You got
Yes.
Quinn.
Quinn, that's the nurse recruiter with Deborah Messing hair.
Oh, okay. I just wrote down nerd.
I like
and
him.
Janis Joplin.
Oh, I like him.
Yeah,
He's
I
got
like
that red curly hair.
I like Janis Joplin. Also,
like Deborah Messing.
Quinn is very androgynous.
Yeah.
Ish.
And very kind of like, dude, bro, oh my God, let's go surfing,
Yeah.
dude.
Quinn is no stranger.
He's
to
a Ninja
pot.
Turtle. Yeah.
No stranger. Pizza and pot.
Mm-hmm.
So then you have Brooklyn. I cannot
Hate
say
her.
this out loud.
She's a Karen.
But I want you to read what I wrote next to Brooklyn and then pass it back. Don't read it out loud.
Oh, my. That
So
is inappropriate.
sorry about that. That's great podcasting right there. She has this walk that's just like she walks like her name. Like you expect her name to be Karen.
Yeah. She's always, if you watch how she stands, she's always got her hand on her hip.
Yeah.
Her name is Brooklyn. She's she's from Texas. She's a pageant coach and a former Miss America.
I know former Miss Americas and contestants, and they're lovely people. It's just there's nothing. She just looks like she hates everything.
She definitely looks like the kind of person from Texas who would be involved in pageants.
Right.
Also, don't name your kids a borough in New York if you're not from New York. And also, if you're from New York, don't name your kid a borough from New York.
See what's funny? Her sister, very not attractive. Her name's Turkey.
No.
Just kidding.
What?
No, I just made that up.
I was like, oh my God, what a stupid family. I didn't care for Brooklyn.
Yeah. I mean, nobody really does except for Park Slopes. I kid.
I
Or
mean,
the Dodgers. I like the Brooklyn Dodgers. Anyway. Then there's Matt.
Matt.
Don't do that. No.
urban cowboy.
God. Can we
Damn.
Can we just stop talking about Big Brother and we'll bring Ryan on and I'll talk to Ryan about it.
God,
I
he's
refuse.
hot.
He is not.
He is so hot.
He is the human form of the cartoon version of Gaston.
Oh, God, Gaston is so hot. No one gets me more turned on than Gaston.
Here's what I wrote about him. He does software sales. I was like, yeah, seems right.
Yeah, I dig Matt. Matt, Cam, and Tucker. Those are my boys. Those are my boys.
Well, he's I'm gonna tell you later why Matt's a terrible game player.
I did see next time on Big Brother. He does cry like a little bitch. So,
He does.
You downgraded Matt. You're now number 3 of my 3 boys.
All right, so then there's Lisa, the celebrity chef, who's a Cali girl.
The way that she talked to my Tucker, because he is a protein bar chef, and she's like, I'm a real chef. Shut up. No one likes you, Lisa.
When she said she was a vibe curator, I was done.
Yeah.
I'm
Done
done.
with
I don't need you. And then Jen said that she looks like a Temu Jennifer Aniston, and that cracked me up. So I will refer to Lisa moving
Oh
forward.
my God. I'm
as
looking at her
Timo.
photo now. She does look like a Timo Jennifer Aniston. Ross.
Okay, so then we've got Leah.
Leah, she's a cocktail waitress in Miami. She seemed okay.
Oh, she's the chubby chaser.
Yes.
And
yes.
self-proclaimed chubby chaser, and she owns her own underwear company. She's basic to me.
Yeah, she's just middle of the road right now for me.
Then there's Cedric.
Former Marine. I love him. He is so adorable.
I love him. He's
so adorable.
He's adorable.
He's also one of my boys.
Yeah, he's
I
a
now
big-
have 4 boys.
He's super adorable. He's got beautiful blue eyes. Mm-hmm. Then there's T-Koi. T-Kor?
T-Core. She's the one who makes the crochet clothes.
Yes.
Off the bat, I don't understand wearing crocheted clothes, so I don't like you.
What I don't I mean, I guess I get it that she was raised in London and lived in Chicago and now lives in Texas or something like that. So she has the weirdest.
Wait a minute, say that again? She was born in London.
She grew up as a child in London, and then she lived in Chicago, and now she lives in like Texas or something.
Yeah.
And her
Don't like
accent
any of this.
is a combination of all of that, and it's the weirdest thing.
Yeah. I need you to make clothes out of actual things.
I don't dislike her. I actually kind of like her.
No.
Then there's Kenny,
He's a Boston cop.
undercover cop. He doesn't irritate me.
I like Kenny, however, why? And maybe you can explain this, because there's one of the episodes he's talking to Matt,
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm a cop, but I'm not going to tell him I'm a cop. Why would you go in just lying?
Because if you like this guy who's from the Marines, who was an intelligence analyst, if you're an intelligence analyst, people are going to vote you out immediately because they think that you're going to figure out what they're doing and they don't want you there. An undercover cop, one season in Undercover Cop won. But they're like, oh, if you're an undercover cop, you're going to be good at solving this, and we don't want you here. We're going to get rid of you. So people lie about what they do.
Oh, I gotcha.
They lie about what they do, about how much money they have. Because if you've got money, like one year, Frankie Grande was on it, and Ariana Grande's brother.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't tell anybody
that was on regular Big Brother?
Yeah, regular Big Brother.
Oh,
yeah.
I knew he was on one of them, but I thought it was like a celebrity Big Brother.
And what's funny is I didn't know who Ariana Grande was. So I was like, he says, my big secret. People are like they have these secrets and then they come out in this very dramatic way, and sometimes it's like
They're
falls
not dramatic.
flat and it's hilarious. Okay, so all right, so that's the 8.
Yes. So
wait.
those 8 come in and they play different games, but same thing.
I have this note down, so I just want to say this.
Yeah.
I don't like Matt, and here's why. He kept saying how pretty he was.
You ain't wrong.
He is wrong. Do you know that every time somebody said Matt was pretty, Jen screamed at the TV and said, "You're not pretty."
Oh my God, Jen's wrong. He is pretty.
Where's this? God.
God, he's so hot.
No,
He's even hotter when he takes his shirt off.
he looks like his name should be Brooklyn.
I let him brook my lid.
Not so much. Okay, so then they have to do their competitions, and they're different competitions.
Yes.
Oh, because they vote on Ansley,
Yes.
and again they vote not to let her in.
In the first night, they were split 4-4. This one, they were 2-6. They're
Yeah.
like 6 and we're like, no, this bitch can't come in.
So then they have to do that, and their competitions are different. So this is the one where the people who voted yes,
We're in the moving room.
okay, we're in the moving room, and they had to take pieces of a computer out, oversized piece of computer out of something, and go plug into something else
Yeah.
while the room moved.
That game looks fun.
It was hilarious.
I would do that.
It was funny watching them bounce all around, especially Janis Joplin when she hit the wall real hard and made me laugh. But the other one, which was my favorite game,
This is so stupid.
I fucking love this. So it's a clear board, and they have to use their face and push this like token along and drop it into sections. But they have to go low and high, and it becomes difficult. So when Timu was doing it, did you notice Timu's face was pressed up against a thing, but her hands looked like a T-Rex, and she's like,
I did not
and I
notice
just
that.
got up and started walking around. I was like, oh God, it made me laugh because she looked stupid, and I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to? Anyone else you want to mention in that?
No. I mean, the games were, they were the games. They seemed like fun, some of them, but and nothing stands out like, oh, that's I talk about the games.
So then they announced who's getting
Yes.
downgraded and what's
Quinn
getting
got an
down.
upgrade. Cedric got a downgrade.
So Cedric and Chelsea are downgraded, and if
My
you're a Big
poor
Brother
little
fan, this will
Marine.
mean something to you. It means that they're downgraded, so they can't compete in head of household. The first head of household, they can't compete in that. If they get nominated, they can't compete in the veto competition. Now that's big because if they get up there and they're gonna, you want to compete in veto because if you win, you can pull yourself down. So then you just have to hope that you had a good friend, and if they won veto, they would pull you down.
Okay, wait a minute. Now I'm confused. So they're downgraded. So they cannot be head of household
For the
right?
first week,
Okay,
right.
for the first week. They also can't compete to save themselves?
Correct.
It's a bullshit.
It's unprecedented.
Fucking
It's a
Hansley?
new thing.
Hansley?
Well, you know what?
Hensley?
Maybe they should have been nice and helped like you were and gave that guy a bus ticket.
Oh my God!
What if
I
you
would
didn't
have
give
let
him a
her
bus
in.
ticket and he was like, "You've been downgraded"? Ooh.
No, I did give him a bus ticket. He let me live.
He upgraded you.
You mean he would have poo-pooed me?
I wonder what your life would be like had you have not. This is the upgrade, buddy. This is
Could have been
the
me.
upgrade.
Yeah. So they don't get to play in the first game. They get to cheer on the other players. Then this is where they dress as the little computer chips.
So
and they can still be voted out.
I
That
wanted to
seems
say
grossly
this.
unfair.
Yeah, it does, but that's just the way the game goes. It's interesting. You think things are going one way and they'll throw in his ways. That's
I'll
why
be
the
honest,
motto.
It seems unfair for My Little Marine.
Right, I
It
agree
seems
with
fine
you.
for the other one.
He's adorable and he's really kind. He's not going home. the first week.
I
It's
love
just not
him.
going to happen.
No.
People are going to like him. He'll be around for a while. But I wrote this down. It was funny to me because Chelsea was talking about how Matt was pretty. And she said that he was pretty because he had all of his teeth.
Oh my God, I did write that down.
And I was like, girl, what?
Wait a minute, where did I write that down? Because I was like, is that where your bar is? He has all of his teeth, so he's pretty.
And what circles? What circles are you traveling in where like that's
Chelsea,
where that's
girl, come
that's
on.
not something you're used to?
Raise your standards. All your teeth is good, but
And then I wrote again, Angela's crazy.
yeah.
So then they're all sitting around. Okay, so here's another element to the show, is that every week there's a group of people that are called have-nots. And the have-nots sleep in the have-not room, which are really hard beds.
Hold on, I have to find that. I have not questions.
Okay.
Because I was like, I don't understand this. But keep talking. I'm going to find my
and,
has
and,
not
and
questions.
sometimes like there'll be competitions, and if you lose the competition, then you're a have-not, and then you have to pick other have-nots to go with you.
here we go.
So here are the rules of the have-not. You have to sleep in the have-not room, which usually means the lights are on all the time, and it's a rock-hard bed, and it's very uncomfortable. The other punishments are that you can only take cold showers, and that you have to eat slop. Now, slop is it's like what it sounds like. It's this kind of I think I looked up a recipe once because I was like, I want to make it and see what it tastes like. But it's sort of this like oatmealish thing that's just full of what the sustenance that you need, but it is a bland, gross thing. And
Is it hot or cold?
It's. I think it can be either.
Okay.
But it's all you can eat. That's
Ooh.
all you're. No, that's all.
0 points on the slop.
That is. It is not 0 points. But you can't eat anything else. Which is why
okay,
they're
that's
all
one of my
pissed
questions.
off at Julia, at Timu, because Timu knows that they're all on slop and walked outside and was like, breakfast is ready. Do you guys want anything? And they were like, F you.
Okay, so they asked in the beginning 4 volunteers to be have-nots.
Right, which
And
they typically do for the first go-round of have-nots is they ask for volunteers.
How long are you a have-not for?
For a week.
For 1 week. Does everyone during the course of the show have to be a have-not?
No.
So why would you volunteer?
Because you like I volunteer, it means you don't have to do it, and now you'll like me and say
So
that's
once
a
you
nice
do
person.
it, you don't ever have to do it again?
No, that's
Okay.
not true.
No, that's
that is
not
not
true.
You could be a have-not the whole time.
Then why would you volunteer?
But you're just that for the first week, and
Yeah.
then there will be competitions, and if you keep losing them, then you might end up a have-not for the whole
Now,
time.
I don't know if
It
they've
is-
done this
I don't
for
think
26 years.
Nobody has ever been have-not for the whole.
Oh, they've
the
done
whole
this
time.
for 26 seasons. So they instantly got 4 volunteers. Do they always get volunteers? And if you don't get all the volunteers, how do they pick the have-nots?
It's never happened that you don't, because I think they just stay in the room until there's 4 volunteers.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. Yeah, and super fans of the show like know this is coming, and they're like,
well, a
I'm gonna
couple
go
of
in
the
and do
people
it.
who were like, I'm super, like Quinn is a
Yeah.
super, he called himself a super fan, and he was like, I already knew this was coming, and I'm gonna get in people's good graces by volunteering. And I was like, maybe that means everybody's gonna have to eventually be a have-not.
It's likely that you won't be a have-not the second week if you're a have-not the first week. So, and it's also likely if you're a have-not the first week, you're not going to get voted out.
Okay.
So you just volunteer, you go through it, and then the next week you're getting sleep, you're getting good showers and food to compete to stay in the game.
Okay. The other questions I have, they have like a seating area in the bathroom, and there's people who are showering while they're sitting around. Is there always people sitting there watching you while you shower?
Not always, but it's one of the
option.
main rooms. No, I mean a lot. Yeah, a lot of times it happens because they're just sitting there showering. You can't see their naked body. Sometimes there's multiple people in one shower doing weird things while other people are.
That's
are out.
allowed?
Yeah, people can have sex in there. It's you'll be in there for 90 days. Do you think somebody's not finding a corner?
I don't want to go into details, but I could easily go 90 days.
There was a
Let's just say I have gone.
well,
90
but
days.
I'm
Plus.
49 years old. I could probably go 90 years at this point. But
Are the toilets private at least?
that is the only place.
Okay.
But there's a microphone in there.
Good Lord!
Yeah. So you can't go in there
What if
to
I
hide.
need alone time?
There's so many like that bathroom thing is funny.
I get
One
kinda
season,
loud.
one of the punishments that somebody had was every time somebody wanted to use the restroom, they had to come and tell you, and then you had to go stand in the bathroom and announce that they were going to the bathroom.
This is so ridiculous.
It's awesome.
Angela's doing too much. I wrote that.
Yeah, she's crazy.
Tucker, Matt, and Cam are hot. I will add Marine to that. What is Marine's name? I should call him by his name. The Marine.
Cedric. Yeah.
God, I love him. Also, I love how they like get in little corners and then they whisper, and then when someone walks in the room, they're like, "Oh," and they're like, "They know what you're doing." You're acting like you're. Oh, I can't believe I packed this bag.
What's funny is it's always Angela they're talking about, and then she walks by and they'll get quiet. And she's like, "What are you talking about?" Like, yeah, people who do that. If you call somebody out on it, you don't do well in this game.
Yeah,
she's not gonna do well. Or if you're like the most hated person, sometimes it's beneficial to be the most hated person because they're like, we're going to keep you around because everybody hates you and they're all going to come after you and not me. So I'm going to let you stay this week. So next week,
that makes sense.
And then they end up staying until the
so they told the whole house who the two downgrades were, but they only told the two upgrades who the upgrades were.
Right. And I'm going to tell you, the powers that they got are insane.
Well, that I have questions about because I didn't understand a damn thing. So Mackenzie got America's veto.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
This one's kind of okay. It just alludes to the America's player thing that happened earlier that I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Is that so the head of household nominates two people. So let's say next week or this week that Mackenzie gets nominated. Well, she can use America's veto to pull herself off the block. Or if like Cedric got nominated and she likes Cedric, she could pull Cedric off the block.
Okay, so she can use it on anybody.
She can use it on anybody, and she can take a nomination out. But usually, if you pull somebody off the block, then the head of household nominates a replacement. Not this case. America votes for the replacement, and so that's an interesting twist. And she'll have that for 4 weeks.
Yeah.
So she's safe from going home for the first 4 weeks, which is a big deal. So she won't use it, and if she's smart, she won't tell anybody that she has it because that was the downfall.
Other thing, because the other one Quinn got.
Yeah,
and
this is a huge
instantly told Angela, which I was like, I don't know much about this game, but I feel like this is a bad move telling anybody.
Not really. I mean, so he didn't tell her right away, and there's a reason he told her, and I get why. But so
he got deep fake HOH. Explain what that is.
So deep fake HOH means say somebody wins head of household, then he can take complete control of their head of household, where he will nominate who the people are, but nobody will know that he did because they're going to make a deep fake video of the head of household announcing that those are the nominees, and everyone's going to think that's who.
I like that one.
That's
so
a crazy one.
scandalous.
That is insane. So I dig that.
If I was Quinn, I'd make a sex tape with my boys and then have them show the tape with a deep fake of whoever that household was.
I don't know. That's how the show works. But he told Angela, and we'll get to it eventually.
Oh, we should probably, since you just said it, Angela, what head of household?
Angela wins head of household, and because she's the head of household, he wants her to trust him, so he tells her.
Yeah.
But at this point, not everybody is seeing how crazy Angela is. He will regret doing that, like I'm sure, within a couple episodes, because she's going to become enemy number one. She is a volatile cuckoo.
Yeah, she seems, and just on the next time on Big Brother, she completely loses it.
Yeah.
She goes crazy. Cuckoo.
I want to point out this. Every year, day one, all the girls in the house, or the majority of the girls in the house, get together and talk about forming an all-girls alliance and how they're going to get all the guys out. And
they mentioned that earlier, and they're like, it never works out.
Ever works out. I'm like, so I wrote, shocker, girls rule the house again. And then immediately after that, one of the girls says, well, I'm not making any promises. I'm going to see how it goes. Yeah, because you're not going to.
Now, when Quinn tells Angela, and they're all like, oh my God, we're making an alliance. Do they often come up with team names?
It's a big thing.
Oh, okay.
It
because
is a big
Angela
deal.
says, because I guess she does finger guns, and she's like, can we be BB guns? Has anybody ever been BB guns? And I was like, I don't know if this is a thing, Angela, but you sound ridiculous right now.
I got to tell you, as a fan, that's a pretty cool name. And because it's not been used. But it's like, the best group name was the Cookout, and that was the year that
I
that
heard
they had
you and
a lot.
Ryan talking about this.
Yeah, so there had never been a black person had never won. And they're usually, like I guess Big Brother for a while was about tokenism, which I think they're still that way with the queer community.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, there's a gay guy in it. I mean, maybe you're going to find out later that somebody else is, bisexual, or I don't know. But there was like tokenism, so the most you would have is like 3 black people in a thing. But this season, it was maybe 6 or 7. If you have 7 people together, they can control the house. So they came up with an alliance, and they just said from the beginning, no matter what,
a black person will win.
A black person is going to win. And so what they did, it was all orchestrated by this one contestant, and it was a brilliant. Like nobody has ever done anything like this. So they said, all 7 of us, we're going to go out and we're going to make a best friend. And we're going to get that best friend to vote the way that we want, but we're always going to protect the black people. So if your best friend gets up on the block, you're voting your best friend out. Everybody's voting. And so they all had to make that pact. And then, but they stuck to it. And it was weird because like they would get to a point where they even hated some of the people in the Cookout hated each other, but they were like, but we're going to stick to this.
So were
because,
that 7 the final 7?
Yeah. Yeah, they all voted out their people. Like, it was the best strategic play.
Yeah.
Like watching it was brilliant. Which is why the guy the next year got in trouble because he said, I think that there's another black alliance, and so we need to start voting.
So they start
out.
a white alliance?
So he's like, we need to start voting them out, or like people of color. He's like, there's more people of color here than there are white people, and it just it did not land well. And
I can't imagine why.
And then it was this whole thing, and like he had to come up with all his apologies, and I think he ended up leaving the house. Or he got voted out. He volunteered to get voted out, and he got voted out. You might know who he is. He's like on TikTok and Reels and stuff like that.
What was his name?
It's Kyle, I think is his name.
Kyle, yes. No, I don't know. I'd have to see a face.
Just nobody needs the history. I go into a lot of history because I love the show.
So they did the games. Angela got the head of household,
yes.
And then she had to put up 3 people to be
because that's a new thing now is
Yeah.
that they're gonna that the head of household is gonna nominate 3 people, and then those 3 people are gonna compete to see if one of them can be safe, and then they have the power. Then they have the veto competition, all that.
Yeah.
So but what happens when somebody wins head of household? Everybody in the house goes and has a one-on-one, and they talk strategy, and they're like, who do you think should get voted out, and that kind of thing. So she ends up doing her nominations of her 3.
And her 3 are Lisa, who is the chef,
who everybody wanted out.
Everybody wanted out. Also, when they were doing the like little diary thing when she's talking, and she's like, "It's time for me to start to cook," and I was like, "No,
way too many puns.
Stupid. You're out. I hope you go out."
Yeah.
Chemo, which to me seems homophobic to put him up first round, but that's just me. And then Kenny, who seems like a nice guy. But
I don't know. He was wearing a visor that had the hair already in it.
Yeah, I know.
I can't respect that.
He was going for goofy. I can forgive it. He thought he was going goofy. But the thing that annoyed me the most is Angela comes out with her little keys and she turns them. And she's like, key number 1. Key
I
number
know,
2.
right?
I'm sorry I had to nominate. No, you're not, because then they cut you on the chair and you're like, I put 3 people up. I'm at a household.
I'm surprised she didn't put Matt up, to be honest with you.
So obnoxious.
So I'm surprised she didn't put Matt up because like she had one of her crazy things is like she went off about how Matt's so pretty that he's gonna get in the showmance and that and I felt bad for him, right? And
I did too.
everybody's
she
like
seemed like she was just a bully.
Everybody's like, but everybody would say like, you're so beautiful, you're so pretty, and he's kind of like I know this is now stupid to say because people who aren't pretty don't find sympathy for people who are. Like Chelsea even said like, oh, how hard for you. I bet it is.
Yeah.
I bet it is hard for him. I bet people.
It is so hard for us pretty people.
Yeah.
It is difficult.
I wouldn't know, but I'll take your word for it.
I feel so bad for Matt. Because sometimes people just assume things about you, and it's not right.
But in all seriousness, I find that to be like, don't.
What do you mean in all seriousness? I'm pretty.
Of course you are. Um, I'm just not allowed to agree with anything you say on this podcast. So, but
yes, I thought that was a little pushy of her.
Like, and don't tell people what. Like, don't pretend like you know what somebody else is going through. Listen to their story and understand. Like, you know, it just makes me crazy because Chelsea was going on about it too. It just made me crazy. I did feel bad for him in that sense. But he did a really stupid thing when you're talking about gameplay in Big Brother.
Yes.
When you're talking
to
the head of household, you don't threaten them.
Yeah.
And he totally threatened her with like, if you put me up, everybody likes me, and I'm going to come back and destroy you. Like, and she's like, and she even said, when you go back and watch this, you're going to regret.
You're going to feel stupid.
You're going to feel stupid for saying this. And he should. But then she didn't put him up, which doesn't make sense. So I think there's a strategy in Big Brother that happens when a head of household wants to get rid of somebody. They do what they backdoor them, which means that they don't put them up. And when the veto competition happens, whoever wins, if somebody wins the veto, they tell them use the veto on somebody, and then they pull that person down, and then the head of household puts their real target up.
Yeah.
And it eliminates their ability to try to save themselves.
But isn't America voting who goes up?
No.
Oh.
Only if that girl uses America's power of veto.
Okay, that's just for her power.
Just for her power.
This is so convoluted.
I
hope I pick up on this, but halfway through the season, I could be like, I don't know what the fuck's happening.
You thinking it's convoluted reminds me so much of the episode of Friends where Joey was going to be a
let's
game show host.
Bamboozled.
Yeah.
It's like, why all the unnecessary rules? I don't get it, but hopefully I will get it.
Season 1, which is super boring, none of this was the case, but they also made them grow their own food, which is really strange.
I did, because you've been watching Big Brother for years and years and years, and I've heard you talk about it. So I did go back, because my brother is also a Big Brother fan.
I know I liked him.
He constantly tells me, you should really watch that and Survivor. He loves both of those. He's like, you should go back and watch them. So I did try watching the first season.
It's terrible.
And the first season it literally is, let's put these people in a house together. They're going to be cut off from everybody. They grow their own food. All they do is just sit around and talk. There's no like competitions or anything.
But I mean, the competitions are to get like groceries and stuff like that. And it was 5 days, 5 hours a week. So I think they learned some things in the next
couple of years. So I got like 2 episodes in. I was like, I'm bored with this. I'm not watching this anymore.
But it's like, I mean, it's a long time ago.
Yeah.
Right?
It was like 99 or 2000. It was
26 years ago. And so the contestants are not like as...
So they do it once a year.
As I wouldn't say, I don't want to use the word woke, but I'll say they're not as understanding now. And so when there were black contestants 26 years ago, there was a lot of like
racism.
Yeah, stuff like the fights about race and stuff like that. From
it
what
was
I
that
recall,
way
I could be
early
wrong.
days of Real World. Remember
the
early days of Real World?
Right.
There was a lot of a lot of queer conversations about
and that's what this
acceptance
and
stuff.
then like somebody came out on the show and it was like a big deal.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what the first season was. It was basically Real World, but you can vote people out and you got to grow your own food.
Sounds awful.
Anyway,
I hope this turns out to be a better season.
I cannot wait until the next episode, because that's when it's going to get, because they allude to a fight. And like I said, I've already seen the fight because I have to go on and watch it. And people online will post clips of the live feeds, and it's delicious. It is a meltdown of meltdowns.
Well, I look forward to seeing what happens. And we will continue to talk about this every week until the season ends, or they get rid of all the gays,
or Jeremy gets bored of it. Either one of those two. So and we won't take up so much time next time, because really, you know, when you have to go through who all 16 people are, it's going to take up a lot of time here. So it'll get easier. It'll get faster as we go along. So then we decided we were going to watch a movie.
Yes. So last week it opened in LA and New York, but it opened nationwide this past weekend. So we went and saw the film National Anthem, which was actually came out last year, was making the the film
festivals.
Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. The festival circuits, and then got picked up because it played at South by Southwest in March of 2023. and didn't get released until this week.
It makes sense when I was trying to find it. First of all, trying to find a movie called National Anthem in a Google search is terrible, especially since that girl just sang the worst national anthem ever. Every time I search for her, all I find is her video.
She went to rehab.
I heard. She's my sister.
So, it played at South by Southwest in March.
Solidarity.
TIFF in September 2023, and then finally got picked up and distributed by LD Entertainment. National Anthem is an American drama film.
Are you reading this off of Wikipedia?
Yeah.
I just want to let everybody know, we have to read this off of Wikipedia. It's impossible to take notes when you go to a movie theater to see a movie. So
as soon as I got out of the theater and I got home, I started jotting notes down because I forgot to bring a little notepad. I was going to bring a little notepad and write in the dark, but I forgot it. So I jotted down some notes. So I think I remember most of the film.
I sat in the back row and I took notes on my phone. I was like,
I
sorry,
done
Jen.
that.
So I always get in the back row. And I knew it was like an indie film, so it wasn't going to be packed.
So Luke Guilford is the writer-director of this movie. It's his first film. Certain aspects of it, you could tell it was a first film. But it's about this guy, 21-year-old named Dylan, who is played by
Charlie Plummer.
Charlie Plummer, who was not the actor I thought of. I thought that was the kid who was on Perks of Being a Wallflower. But do you know who Charlie Plummer is? Remember that movie that came out a couple of years ago, At the End of the World, I think is what it was called. It was the one with Kevin Spacey, and then when all that shit happened with Kevin Spacey, they removed him from the film and then reshot.
And Christopher Plummer came in.
Christopher Plummer. Charlie Plummer played the grandson who got kidnapped.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So that's the only thing I've seen.
I recognize. I mean, he was in shows that I've seen. Like he was in like Person of Interest, but I wouldn't remember the single episode he was in.
Yeah. So he's a 21-year-old living in New Mexico, and he works as a construction worker,
Like a day worker.
A day worker. Is that what they call him? Where you line up at the
At a bus stop
at a
somewhere.
bus stop or a hardware store or something, and then they pull up in a pickup truck, and they're like, "Hey, hop in." And then he gets picked up to go work at this LGBTQ ranch
By Pepe.
Can I just say, Pepe is so hot.
Pepe.
He is gorgeous.
Did you write down his name? Because I wrote it down.
Yeah, his name is Rene Rosado.
Okay. He was in Major Crimes. He played okay, so Major Crimes, there was a kid in there that was like a former sex worker who witnessed a crime and then was adopted.
What show is this?
Major Crimes. It's the spinoff of The Closer. So he started off in The Closer, and then it went to this. So that kid that's in that came out in later seasons and started dating somebody, and this is who he was dating. Yeah, definitely a very good looking man.
He is
a very good looking man.
I know that, like, particularly if you watch this movie, people were like, "Oh, Charlie Plummer is so hot." Pepe. Good Lord.
Yeah.
He's gorgeous. So the movie starts out, Dylan is working odd jobs. He does construction and stuff. And he lives at home with his little brother, Cassidy, played by Joey DeLeon, and his mom, Fiona, played by Robin Lively, who is a recovering alcoholic falling off the wagon.
Sometimes she's recovering, sometimes she's not.
She's having trouble with alcohol, maybe drugs.
Yeah.
I felt like Ross and Monica's mother there. Drugs.
You stayed with him through the drug years.
So he's trying to save up money to buy an RV so he can hit the road. He wants to go explore America.
Yeah, he wants to get the hell away from his
hell
mom.
away from his crazy mother.
Yeah, because she's like an absent mother.
Yeah.
And he's raising this kid.
He takes care of his brother.
Who's got needs. Like, he's got
reminds
ear
me
infections.
Of what's that movie we saw with the lady from This Is Us?
Oh, right.
She's got the two kids, and she's got an alcohol problem.
Did we watch that?
Yeah.
Or did we talk about watching it?
No, we watched it. We talked about it on the podcast.
I don't know. I mean, I have a vague memory of it. But
it's kind of the same thing. The mother has an alcohol problem, so the older brother is raising the younger brother and dealing with his mother's problems. So he's outside of this, I don't know if it was a bus stop or like a Lowe's or something. And Pepe drives up in his pickup truck.
Oh, can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just to say, they show him at his construction jobs, and the other construction workers are talking about like overt sex acts.
Yeah.
And so he's sitting by himself eating lunch, and they were like, "Oh, be quiet." This is such a terrible line. They said, "Oh, be quiet around him. Pretty boy doesn't like him when you talk about pussy." I was like, "Oh my god, that was like the first sentence of this show."
So they never
Sorry, Mom.
explicitly say Dylan's sexual orientation. But he does kiss Pepe like a professional. The scene when they have the three-way.
Yeah, but I think that was sometimes you wonder if that's just the means to an end. You know what I mean?
But
so anyway, we'll get into it.
Yeah. So Pepe picks him up and takes him. He's like, I need a couple of some workers for 2 weeks worth of work, and it's this ranch called the House of Splendor.
Fantastic name.
Yes, and as he's pulling in, it's got a flagpole at the front, and it's got the LGBT flag blowing in the wind. It's a queer ranch, which seems fantastic. I would love to work on a queer ranch.
Yeah.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
It is. Yeah, it really is. Seems like a cool place.
Yeah. So Dylan gets to work, and as he's working, he sees off in the distance this beautiful woman on a horse, and he just instantly becomes infatuated with her. And that is Skye, who is a trans woman who is Pepe's partner, and
played by Eve Lindley.
Yes, Lindley, and Skye and Pepe have an open relationship, so Skye is free to explore any physical connections she wants. However, it's just for play.
How do you feel Eve did in acting in this overall thing? Like her as a character, as an actress playing this role, how do you think she did?
I thought she did fine.
I think she did really good, and I just wanted to point it out, Hollywood. This is what happens when you put a trans woman in a trans role.
She reminded me
was
a lot
great.
of. Did you ever see Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind?
No.
Oh my God, you need to see that movie. So good. She reminds me of the Kate Winslet character, like just free spirited.
Who else is in that?
Jim Carrey, Kirsten Dunst, Elijah Wood.
Oh, it's a Jim
Mark
Carrey
Ruffalo,
one. It's not
Tom Woodward.
It doesn't involve. Who did I think it involved? No, never mind. I was thinking the other one. It says a similar title, I feel like, with Bradley Cooper.
I don't know which one.
Yeah.
Silver Linings Playbook.
Oh,
Oh,
same.
no, different movie. Eternal Sunshine is an amazing movie you should see. I think you'd love it.
Really?
Yeah, it's so good. Jim Carrey, it's in the not too distant future where they've developed technology where they can erase memories to help you get over people. So Jim Carrey goes to have his memories erased from his ex-girlfriend, Kate Winslet, so he can stop hurting. And it is so good because in his brain, he realizes he doesn't want to forget her while he's under. So in his mind, he's trying to hide the memory of her so he can remember her when he wakes up.
Huh.
Such an amazing movie. Anyway, different movie. So Dylan becomes infatuated with Skye. He's like watching her and everything. And then Dylan goes to, I don't know what store it was, like a Walmart-like type store.
Yeah, it's a big box store.
And
I feel like, yeah.
He goes there, and as he's shopping, all of the folks from the ranch, Skye and Pepe, and all of the misfits, we'll call them, come in.
Yeah, I do want to point out one of them though. One of the misfits is Carrie, and that's played by Mason Alexander Park, and they are the actor that was in Quantum Leap. They were the like the analyst thing, a non-binary.
The new one or the old one?
The new one.
I didn't watch it.
And I love them. They're so great, and especially in this movie. But they're one of my. I just really like that character. Incidentally, the woman who plays the mom, the alcoholic mom, Robin Elaine Lively, she was in an episode of Quantum Leap, the original one.
Oh, it's
Quantum
all
Leap
connected.
Homecoming.
It's all connected.
I bet Sam Beckett had something to do with it.
So, and then here's the thing
Nobody
that
gets that because that's the main character's name in Quantum Leap. Anyway.
So something that I felt odd about this show is they're like walking around, trying on clothes, eating snacks, putting makeup on in the middle of the store. Like, who does that? Like, it's very weird. They're like sitting in the middle of an aisle and they're like eating snacks and putting makeup on each other. It seems, I feel like an employee would have come up and been like, hey, you can't do that here.
Yeah, you got to pay for that.
Yeah, you can't just live here. You can't live your lives here. I will say though, as Dylan's walking through the aisle, and then Sky pops out, and she's like, "What are you doing?" Scared the shit out of me. In a quiet theater, I'm sitting there, and she jumped out, and I was like, "Oh God." And I am not happy that I embarrassed myself. Thanks, Sky.
How many people were in the theater?
Probably about 8
Okay.
8 or 9.
All right.
So they're hanging out there, and then Sky or Dylan goes to leave. Sky walks him to her car, or to his car, and Sky invites him to the rodeo. And he said something. I wrote it down here, and now I don't know where I wrote it down. But Sky said a line that I thought was really interesting, because he's like, "What? Why do you want to hang out with me? I'm boring."
He says this. I wrote it down verbatim because I love it.
I really like that line.
He's like, "Why do you want to hang around?" And she's, "Why do you want me to come with you?" And she says, "Because you seem like fun." And he said, "I'm pretty boring." And she said, "I don't think you're boring. You just haven't met your people yet."
Yeah.
I was like, "What a great line."
Yeah, I really like that line. So she invites him to the rodeo, and it is an LGBT rodeo. It's all gays everywhere, queers.
I haven't heard much about gay rodeo recently, but when I first started working at Watermark, it was a big deal. I mean, there was a huge rodeo that happened in Fort Lauderdale, and they were advertised with us, and it was a pretty big deal.
Yeah, this was inspired because Luke Guilford, who's the writer-director, went to a queer rodeo. And it inspired him to write this movie. And the name of that rodeo is... I didn't have that written down either. I had it here. Anyway, it's a gay rodeo. There's a gay rodeo association.
Yeah.
And they put on gay rodeos across the country. So he was inspired to write this movie by that. And so they go, and Dylan's just getting close with the group. He's hanging out at the ranch all the time.
Is this the one where they just watched, or did they participate in this?
No, they
one?
participated in the first one. Yeah.
Is this the one where they did the thing where they had to put underwear on the goats?
No. That was the next rodeo.
Okay, well,
so the first rodeo
forget I said
is
anything. We'll talk about it later.
Dylan rides his first bull.
Right.
Pepe rides a bull. Sky does the riding of the horse.
That could be the name of a movie of its own, or a children's book. Pepe rides a bull.
Pepe. Oh, Pepe. And your bull. Sorry. Got warm in here. So Dylan's hanging out with them, getting really good. He's discovering these are my people.
Take a sip.
And so then they go out and they do shrooms. They make shroom tea.
They do.
And Dylan's like, "Oh, this tastes weird." And Sky's like, "Yeah, it's shrooms. Just drink it, and it's an acquired taste. You'll get used to it."
How interesting to just see this thing where like somebody's around a bunch of strangers. They kind of knows them, but they're saying like, let's do these psychedelic drugs together. And like, you don't know what it's going to do to you, but to have to say, all right, I guess I'm going to trust all of these people I don't know and just do this without knowing what's going to happen to me. I find that fascinating.
You've never done that before?
I'm going to plead the fifth.
Come on, we've all hit up Grindr or
I do know people
Adam for
that
Adam and gone to a house, and they're like, "Hey, try this," and then by the end of the night, you're in a three-way.
I do know people that listen to this podcast that probably don't want to hear these kind of things, but I will say this: I wrote a one-act show once, and I wanted this guy that I was dating to read it.
Yeah,
he wouldn't read it. He also liked to do things that people in shows like this would do. And so I made an agreement that said, I will hang out with you and your friends in full capacity. Not what happens later in this movie, but just having an extracurricular good time if you'll read the show. And so that's what we did. So yeah, I mean, I know exactly what this kid was going through.
Yeah.
Because I've been through it.
Good times. So he does the shrooms.
They were certainly interesting times.
And the group starts to get very touchy, feely. Ooh, a little snuggly, a little cuddly. And then Sky, Dylan, and Pepe engage in a three-way. And good God, is Pepe gorgeous. You think he's gorgeous with his clothes on. Wait till he takes his clothes off.
I think he's got a cute face, but he's a little too muscular for my taste.
Oh, no. Oh.
But he's got a good body.
Yeah.
The only thing that I could write down about the last 2 minutes that you've talked about this movie is that a dirt mushroom orgy does not sound fun.
You and I differ greatly.
It was dirt.
That looked so much fun.
It was a dirt mushroom orgy.
Yeah, it was.
Ugh.
It's dirty.
It's only when anytime anybody tells me they're going to a music festival, I feel like that's what happens.
Oh, yeah. That's what I assume Coachella's like.
I just assume.
Burning Man.
Except for
that's
that one time
like.
when everybody gets stuck, it was a mud mushroom orgy.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it gets a little wet. So they have this, thrice thruple. And Pepe the next day.
Immediately.
Yeah.
When it was done, and Pepe was like.
Something we should mention, they mentioned earlier, is that Sky mentions that Pepe had a little bit of a crush on Dylan.
Yeah.
He's like, I think he has a little bit of a crush on you. And I think part of this maybe derives from the fact that Dylan was more interested in Sky.
And that Sky was very interested.
Sky was very interested in Dylan. I think Pepe started to be like, oh, I brought you here to fondle over me, and now you're fondling over my wife or girlfriend. I don't know if they're married. So through the rest of the movie, Pepe starts to do these things like, not like outwardly like you need to get the hell out of here, but like when they're laying in bed together, Dylan puts his arm around both of them, and Pepe kind of nudges his arm off of them. Pepe mentions at one point, this is a really great place, isn't it? He's like, yeah. Dylan's like, I like this place. He goes, well, you can't stay here forever.
Yeah.
Just kind of, little subtle hints of,
yeah.
I'm glad you're finding yourself, but you're going to have to leave eventually.
Yeah. Which is nice because then it kind of forced Sky's hand to say to him, you need to know that this is just for fun.
Yeah.
I'm with Pepe.
Yeah.
Like they have an open relationship, but she's,
Yeah. So they end up going to another rodeo, kind of festival rodeo thing. And they pick up Dylan's little brother and take him, and they're having a good time. And
did we just skip the fact that at the first rodeo, Dylan did drag?
No, that was at this.
Oh,
That's the festival, yeah.
Spoiler.
So they come in and they're looking at like the different booths, and his little brother finds a little cowboy hat and a little red dress, and he's like, I like this. And Dylan's like, yo, you want to wear it? And he's like, yeah, I want to wear this. So he's like, okay, let's buy it for you. And the group all looks at each other like, oh, he's expressing who he is, and they're all excited about it. And then that night is a drag show, and Dylan is participating and sings a Melissa Etheridge song. He looked good in drag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except he does drag like Courtney Love.
Oh, the dancing was atrocious.
Oh, it was atrocious.
But he looked really good. So, Sky and Dylan go off before the drag show, go off into a barn and do it. And that's when Sky's like, listen, I just want you to know, this is just for fun. I'm not leaving Pepe for you. And he's like, oh, no, I get it. But he doesn't get it.
That sex scene was the moment that I learned that Sky was a trans woman.
Oh, really?
I did not know until that point. Because then I was like, what are they doing?
Yeah, because at first I didn't know which position they were in, but then Sky took the lead.